Hey, Lionel. Hey, Joffy. How are you?
Good. How are you, Bob? Hi,
Uh,
Lionel.
Hey, Joffy, Bob, how are you?
Good.
hey, thanks for taking my call. But the presentation that you two did just last week was incredible, right? I always present this idea that BTP helps enable a company to be more adaptable, more resilient, more nimble because it helps you create this modular world, right? If you watch my presentation that I have out on YouTube at SAPmasterclass.com, that's really one of the primary things I talk about. But last week, you guys were awesome. You guys took that exact concept and I think made it a lot more real, right? You kind of dove into what does it look like across a business process and how can BTP help? So today, if you guys can do the same thing over again, I would love for you to just take that one segment to talk about how BTP helps become an integral part of your business process. So, Lionel, I see you got your slide up. I appreciate it. I guess, can you help make it real?
Sure, that was a one-time only, Bob, though, so I don't know if you can do it again. But
Yeah, well, you have to have the right balance of coffee. That's the problem, right? So,
exactly.
all right.
Yeah,
So
no,
we have him coffeeed up now. So let's see how we do here.
no, we're good. Yeah, no, we thought we would do it with an example, and the example we picked was a process. You can see my screen, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
And this is really not a specific process, but more of an example and an illustration. But you can think about that process as being an end-to-end process for one of your master processes in a company, and it could be within the design to operate space, or it could be within the source to pay space, the lead to cash space, the recruit to retire space, and it could be one of those kind of level one, level two processes, right? Fairly significant, a lot of the different steps. And the reality with all of our customers is those processes typically get executed across different stream lanes, across different applications. So we just picked examples, and you can see the applications. We made that example to be more ERP centric, right? If you think about a lead to cash, especially the order to cash part of the lead to cash process, is probably residing mainly in an ERP system. Doesn't have to be an SAP one, but in that case, we picked an SAP one. We picked S/4HANA as the ERP system. So the process really looks like this, right? It looks like different steps being executed in SAP and non-SAP systems. Some steps may be manual. You can see there's a kind of manual swim lane here, and then we'll see some steps are yet to be determined. They don't really have a home in terms of which application is going to run them, right? And what we wanted to talk about is, well, what options do you have if you're really trying to optimize the process across those different swim lanes and different applications? And also bear in mind, the different applications are not just internal applications. It could be applications that are run by external companies, external to our own customers, right? It could be their customers, their suppliers, their service providers. And if you look at historically, especially customers that have run older version of our ERP system, ECC, we have always given them options to extend and customize those processes. And we call that user exits and then business add-ins. And those are still available. But what it would do is it would kind of force customers to think about extending processes by actually further adding complexity to their core system and to their systems of records. So the
which I guess then makes it much harder to upgrade, right?
So yeah, you can think all the downside of it. It's much harder to upgrade. You have to test every time you change something. You're not guaranteed that you've used the latest and greatest technology. You're actually just using the technology that's available to you in that system where you make that modification.
And Lionel, if I may add, right? I mean, you're touching a very important point, right? This upgrade patching. If you typically look at some of our ECC customers, right, they take 6 to 9 months for doing patching and enhancement back upgrade. It's really stopping innovation, and that's what we wanted to really avoid with this architecture, right? That's where you're getting into, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about, there's always going to be some use cases that really would fit still in the traditional model, where you would still go and build a small enhancement within your system of record. So this is not totally going to go away, but we're thinking about the more complex ones, and we're thinking about the ones that fit the least into the model. The first example we had was when you integrate applications together. And started thinking about, well, maybe we use application tools and an application platform as a service, and that's probably the most commonly used service from our customers using business technology platform is the application integration service. That's the one I like to start with when we talk about business technology platform, because not only we have all the features you would expect from an integration platform as a service, but we also have predefined content, pre-built content. We kind of know, take order to cash, for example, or lead to cash process. We know a lot of companies will integrate, for example, their CRM system to their ERP system, so that an opportunity can become a quote, and a quote can become a contract, and a contract can become an order, and this type of things, right? So we've just pre-built that content. And the pre-built content, Joffy is a ex-consultant, I'm an ex-customer. So we know that pre-built content, it doesn't always take you 100% of the way there, right? But
it's 80%. Good. 80% is a good starting point.
Exactly, right? And even if it's only 50, 60%, it's still 50, 60%. You don't have to go work out yourself, right? So so the content is important. It's going to be a common theme across all the services. So we started with application integration as an example. That's an example everybody can relate to. And we're trying to stay away from point-to-point integrations and building integration logic within system of records, but having more of an API-led approach to integration. So that's what.
So Lionel, another important point, right? So these integrations, I think it's also kept up to date as the latest versions of innovation comes into the S4 applications, right? So that's kept in sync.
That's a good point. Yeah, when we deliver content, we responsible for maintaining that content, so it follows the life cycle of our applications. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So still building on that theme, right? So we also can use those APIs that we have now embedded into our core systems, and we have API management capabilities in business technology platform. So now I can exchange information back and forth between my core system and the business technology platform. And when I start doing this, well, I can build portals, for example. So if I have a supplier portal, I need to display purchase order information, payment information. It becomes a lot easier by using, again, still pre-built templates. Supplier portals often have a lot of common components between all of our customers, right, that want to build supplier portals. So it's a matter of thinking in terms of templates, in terms of reusable information that may have to be displayed for your supplier portal. And in that example, you can also embed analytics. So show me the trend of spend with that particular supplier over the past 5 years. In the same vein, we can also decide to build a mobile application. So we would have a mobile application software development kit, for example, for iOS applications. We would leverage APIs in the backend to talk back to our systems, but also to talk back to any systems. Right? It doesn't have to fetch information from S4 in that example. You could fetch information for other SAP systems and other non-SAP systems as well.
And these APIs, there are some of them are very standard APIs, right? You're not building something custom. You can probably leverage the content, right? API content library.
Yeah, and that's a great piece of content we have. I think it's on api.sap.com, and it's called our API Business Hub. And you can see all the library of available APIs that have been pre-built. And then our applications now are also have a list of APIs that can be used by anyone. It doesn't have to be our business technology platform. It could be any solution. So we really opened up our architecture, which wasn't the case with the older technology. The technology just wasn't there for us to do that. And now that it's there, we're just taking full advantage of it.
And I think a really important point here is that companies spend a tremendous amount of money keeping integrations working, right? It's one thing to create the mappings and make it work, but then every vendor, every application continues to change. That's the reality of it all, right? And so the difference when you go to api.sap.com and see the things that we produce as content for integration, right? We're responsible for maintaining that and keeping it current going forward. So suddenly this huge expense that a lot of companies suffer through starts going away because they're now using the stuff that we're maintaining, not the stuff that they're maintaining. And that is a huge piece of an IT budget.
Exactly.
Yeah, and actually, if you think about the, one of the main topic, kind of the main theme when we talk about all of this is the modularity, and in order for us to guarantee modularity, we have to guarantee that those different components will always work together. Right? So and they are engineered to do just that, right? To make sure that even if I decide to use one of those components, maybe I take a non-SAP tools for one of those components, it still has to work. Now, what we do is our content and our components have been engineered to work together. And then, of course, we have to maintain them to make sure they continue working together when some of those systems get upgraded or get a new version. So another example I like to use was, well, let's look at all the manual steps you have in the process. And there's often a lot of manual steps, often to manage exceptions, but sometimes actually as part of the normal process. And we have great capabilities to generate events, and that's another service, another example, and really building an event management strategy for handling exceptions, for example, or triggering specific actions. But in that case, it could be somebody has to do something manual in case something happens in the system. Let's trigger an event. Let's have that event maybe send an email or send a notification or text message to somebody, and then that somebody has to do the whatever 3 or 4 steps that has to happen. And if those steps are manual, well, let's look if we can automate those steps. And we have, for example, robotic process automation capabilities that would help you reduce the number of clicks that are needed to do a particular operation. And think about this: how many times do you talk to SAP users, people that are spending their days in our systems, and you ask about their experience, and if you hear, well, it's working great, you have all those options, but it's a lot of clicks. I have to input a lot of information all the time. Well, chances are we can probably automate a lot of that and make it a lot simpler. So that's one of the
even when we talk about the automation, right? We have right out of the box content, right? Bots ready to get plugged into the process, right?
Yeah, we've predefined a lot of RPA bots and add them every week. I think we add a new one based on customers like to build. And then not only you have pre-built bots, but any of those services, when you actually, when we go to the Discovery Center, which is the place that has all those services, for every single service, we have what we call missions, and the mission is actually a list of use cases that customers are using those services for. So even not only we have pre-built bots, but we also have access to a community of peers that are building bots every day using those services. So that's pretty cool.
That's good, yeah.
And so RPA is part of a category of services that we call intelligent services, because we use some machine learning embedded in the service, and we're doing the same thing with a lot of very specific business services that are based on our machine learning technology. Now you also have access to our machine learning tools. So if you want to build your own intelligent application, you can. But in that particular case, we've taken about 20 plus specific business services that we believe companies do every day. So for example, we have one called intercompany reconciliation.
Yep.
And a global company is going to do this for every close during their financial process. So this line item reconciliation could be quite cumbersome, and it could delay your close potentially. So we've packaged it into an intelligent service, and if you check, you'll see that we add those business services, every month. And then comes the place in the process where maybe there isn't an application in your portfolio that can do that part of the process. And this is where the innovation comes in. This is where we also can use our tools in BTP, in the business technology platform, to actually build from scratch your own application, whatever language you use. And again, because we embrace open standards, developers like to have their tools to manage the code, the life cycle, all of this. They can bring them in. They can bring open source tools and then benefit from the content, benefit from the libraries, the templates that we deliver, and it's kind of the best of both worlds. So it's not just to improve SAP processes, but really, if you need to build an application from the ground up, really innovate at the edge, this is what you do.
And recently, we've been investing on more low code and no code, right?
Yeah, that's kind of good. Yeah,
absolutely. So you have one of those tools. Not that you can bring your own language, but you can also use a no-code tool where you just drag and drop. And if you think about a lot of the even services like RPA, for example, that's really a low-code environment. And we'll see there's a couple of others coming where it's not exactly no-code, but it's low-code, meaning that you actually don't need to be a coder and writing code.
But it's a great way to kind of eliminate the shadow IT problem, because now the business side analyst can create the UX and have it the way they want it, and then these tools that we're adopting are making sure that IT still stays in place for the integration and make sure the plumbing's right, make sure the quality's right, so you kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and it is very fast time to value. I mean, it's so easy to do it. And recently I was listening to one customer said 90 minutes it took for them to kind of figure out and quickly bring a couple of these solutions together, workflows and bots and everything else within this no-code, low-code option.
So even though it doesn't count as, one of our biggest differentiators is obviously content and bots, content and integration. But the truth is, we're enabling you to use that content faster with low-code and no-code.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's... Yeah, you're right. It's another way to think about acceleration. It's in content, low code, ease of use. The fact that all those services are in one platform and just accessible to you. You can provision them with a couple of clicks. So I think you get the idea now, right? Leveraging API management solutions to send data back and forth between system of records and the platform. Chatbots is another service that we have. You can talk to your ERP system. Hey, show me the accounts receivable balance for customer 1, 2, 3, and he will talk back to you or send you a text or an email. Workflow being very in high demand right now as everybody working from home like we are now. Don't have the luxury to go work somewhere else. So we have pre-built also a lot of workflows, thinking about those end-to-end processes at the top and thinking what are the most common workflows that customers have asked for, and then we deliver them as part of our content as well. And also there's those analytics solutions. We can actually embed our analytics solution that you can use as standalone as well as a standalone business intelligence tool. But we've taken this and embedded that in the platform so you can actually embed this in your applications, in your portals and etc. And then another example would be the process monitoring, which is an interesting set of services. Now that we have APIs, we can actually look at different applications and see where we are in a given process. We actually also can monitor those processes end to end, assign some KPIs, make sure those processes are performing well. So everything you see on that slide in blue is what Business Technology Platform does, and it's only obviously a cross section, a subset, but we thought we would use it as an example and put it
that last point that you made, I think, is incredibly important, right? You want to make your processes as perfect, as optimized as possible, and part of it is understanding how it's running, which is the analytics end of it. But then you need, if you look, you go back around this horn, you would use all these services within BTP to actually make changes to the process, to make it better, to automate it, to get
Optimize it.
notifications on it. So it's a continuous cycle of understand how your process is running, find spots where you can make it better, and make it better with BTP. But anyway, okay, so thank you so much. This was supposed to be short, and I know we get excited about it, and suddenly things turn a little longer than we want. But I think this is an incredible view into how BTP is absolutely a crucial component if you want to optimize your business processes, make them smarter, make them run better. I think it's an incredibly important part here, and I thank you guys. This is awesome.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Lionel.
All right. Have a great weekend.
All right.
You too.
You too.